Hello everyone, this is Marshall Fish. Welcome back to another video. And as of right now, we are only a little bit under 3 days now from this election being decided. Election night is coming up on November 5th on Tuesday. Make sure you guys get out there and vote. That's all I have to say for you. I'm not going to tell you to vote for. You just get out there and vote. No reason not to. So whoever you want to vote for, I don't care if you have to flip a coin for it, just do it. Pick someone. Just a quick shout before we get into this video. I'm going to be giving the shout to once again the Press Start to Begin podcast. Brand new YouTube channel, brand new podcast. And they just released the Rise of Mario video, all telling you guys all the information about Mario and how they came to be what they are today. In general, that's really what the podcast is mostly about your classic video games, how they rose to be such prominent video games that you guys love in the world. Go give them a watch and like and subscribe. They really deserve it. They're brand new, but you know what? They've already proven themselves. They've proven themselves to me, that's for sure. I'm so happy to have come across them. And once again, shout out to them. They really deserve your like and views, so go get them right now. But thank you guys for listening. And one last thing, everybody, the vast majority of you guys are still not subscribed to this channel, so if you would please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, and share your thoughts down below. Share with all your friends and everything like that. I promise you guys, we are just 20 subscribers now from 1,000 subscribers. I promise you guys, we hit 1,000 by midnight, November 4th, heading into November 5th. If we do that, if we can hit up to 1,000 subscribers by then as promised, I will deliver you guys a full analysis and breakdown of the election after it has happened again. I'll be up till 3 in the morning, whatever, getting all the information I need, and I will guarantee you guys a full analysis for whoever wins, how they won it, how they did it, what happened, and everything like that. If you can get 1,000 subscribers in the next 30-something hours, I can guarantee you guys that there will definitely be that video will be out for you guys as soon as possible. So let's do it. Thank you. And anyways, we're just going to get right on into this election map update based off all the polling averages, the newest polls, and all that. This is going to be a quick, short one. Hopefully a shorter video. Don't want it to be too long for you guys. But so we're just going to get right on into it. And we're going to start off by filling all the states. We know we're going to be going to one side or the other. Alright everyone, here is the map filled out with all the states already filled in that we know are going to be going to one side or the other. You may have noticed, again, just like my last video, I left a few states that were not filled in. I usually do fill in, at least my previous videos, I was filling them in. That's Minnesota, Virginia, and New Hampshire. Up until recently, I was just writing these states off as being Democratic states, but these states are actually getting a little more competitive. So I'm actually going to be including these states as states that we can look at, because they might go one way or the other actually now, but they still definitely lean towards one way, but we'll look at it anyways. And before we do that, let's see where things sit nationally. And on the national level, Trump holds the lead by 0.3%. That means he probably will win, or at least he could probably win the popular vote by 0.3%, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. He might lose by a slim margin. But point is that Donald Trump is expected to win the popular vote. And when Democrats win the popular vote, it's not really a big deal because they always win the popular vote. Everybody expects them to win the popular vote. But if a Republican wins the popular vote, and it's a big deal. Because that means things have totally flipped around. That Republican is on track to win that election. If a Democrat wins if the Democrat wins the popular vote by a percentage point or a few, they can still definitely lose the election in the Electoral College. But a Republican, if they win the popular vote, they're well on their way to winning this election. Right now, Donald Trump is ahead nationally. But I'm not going to overstate this because remember, it is quite true that the national polling average doesn't necessarily matter in this sense because it is just the popular vote. What really matters is where in the individual states go. So that's far more important. But if we look at just the battleground states, so just the polling average from the battleground states, Donald Trump does hold a lead overall in the battleground states by 1.2%. So he's on track to win the popular vote in the battleground states by 1.2%. That is a far higher margin because this is just the battleground states. That is a much bigger deal. So let's now, of course, get back into this and get to our first battleground state. We're going to move from west to east. We're going to start here with Nevada. Nevada right now is on track to go to Donald Trump with 1.7 percentage points. That is a big deal because just look here. Kamala has actually held the lead for quite some time. For over a month, she held the lead in this state, but Donald Trump has now retaken the lead in Nevada. And we can see here, according to Atlas Intel, the best pollsters in the entire world, they have Trump ahead by 6 percentage points. Gonna be honest, that seems a bit skewed. That does not seem. It's probably this sample. This is not a very big sample by Atlas. Usually Atlas has far higher samples. That just could be the result of a bad sample. And also we have Susquehanna, or however you say that, which is a horrible pollster. Look at this sample, 400. You can know Susquehanna is a horrible pollster. I'm not even sure if they lean one way or the other, but their polls are just so small that then they just cannot be. They are just not reliable whatsoever. They have Harris winning some other state by like 6 percentage points, which is bullcrap. They have Donald Trump winning this state by 6 percentage points, which I thought was bullcrap until Atlas did the same thing. And we all know Atlas is probably the best pollster in the entire world. Susquehanna is just not going whatsoever. So when I saw this yesterday, I saw 6% for Donald Trump. I was like, that's ridiculous. That is just complete bullcrap. But then Atlas said the same thing today. So I was like, well, maybe it's true. But we gotta be careful with Nevada though, because look at this. And Nevada is one of the few exceptions as a state that does not overestimate Democrats. It actually overestimates Republicans. Go here to 2020, for example, we can see Joe Biden actually, or at least actually look at this. As of today, or at least this day in history, so 3 days to the election, Biden held the lead by 4.0 percentage points. But actually, look at this. They actually got it right exactly. Biden won with 2.4 percentage points. But also look at this now. Go back to 2016. Trump was supposed to win this state in 2016 with 0.8 percentage points, but Hillary Clinton won the state at 2.4%. So this got it wrong. They overestimated Donald Trump in this state here. So it possibly could be happening again. That was about a 2 percentage points or 3 percentage points overestimation right there. If that's happening again, then yes, Harris will probably still win this election, or will win this state in the election. But overall, it's just because Atlas. Because I hold a lot of respect for Atlas. They are really just that good at pollsters. They do not joke around or take biases. They're all about pure information. So 6 percentage points does seem a bit too high. That would make Nevada a likely Republican state, which is just too high in my opinion. But I will be giving it to Donald Trump by a lean margin. But we gotta be careful because remember, Nevada is the one exception as a state that does not overestimate Democrats. It's Republicans that get overestimated in Nevada. Whereas over here, in pretty much every other state in the country, but mainly up here in the Northeast, Democrats are way overestimated in these states. But Nevada is just simply an exception to that rule. So be careful about this. Nevada probably could still go blue based off this, but Trump does hold a pretty good margin, and because Atlas has Trump winning by a full 6 percentage points, it's probably going Republican. I'm just gonna say right now, even though Republicans have not won this state since 2004. It has been blue ever since 2004, but it looks like it is on track to go red for the first time since then. So I am going to give the state to Donald Trump by a lean margin. Let's now go to Arizona. Yeah, you can see right here, Arizona is just complete write off at this point. We have Data Orbital, which doesn't sound like a whole very good pollster. Their sample's also only 550 people, so it's probably not a very great sample or a very good pollster. But they have Trump winning the state by a full 8 percentage points, which is ridiculous. That would make Arizona a pretty strong, likely Republican state. So that is high. But Atlas, they have Trump winning the state by 6 percentage points. He leads in the average by 2.7. We only have one poll that has Harris winning the state, and that is CNN. Of no surprise whatsoever. CNN is a very left-wing pollster. How is CNN, with as big as they are, getting a poll of only 781 people? Atlas got a bigger poll in one day. They had 5 days, and this is the best sample they got. So no, this poll is ridiculous. Donald Trump is easily going to win the state of Arizona. Even Marist, a very, very left-leaning pollster, has Trump win the state by 1 percentage point. So this state is easily going to go to Donald Trump by at least a lean margin. It could even be a likely Republican state, which would be insane. If it's likely, that's insane. But it is definitely going to be at least a lean state. Let's now go to Georgia. Over here in Georgia is just as solid for Republicans as Arizona is. 2.7%. The other one was 2.6, and this one, the other one was 2.7. So you can see your Atlas Intel with that's a good sample right there. That's pretty. When you get to over 1,000 people, I think it's a pretty good sample because Atlas Intel, they have Donald Trump winning the state by 2 percentage points, and then Rasmussen Reports has it as 5 percentage points, and even CNN admits that Donald Trump is winning the state by 1 percentage point. So there's no denying that this state will definitely go to Donald Trump. Even Bloomberg has Trump win the state by 2 percentage points, and Bloomberg. Bloomberg is the worst of the worst. But in this case, Marist is worse because Marist has it as a tie. It's definitely not a tie. I mean, just look at this. This is insane. Quinnipiac, a very, very left-leaning pollster, but their samples are actually pretty high. Quinnipiac gets good samples, but they are very left-leaning. Even they have Trump winning the state by a full 6 percentage points. So Marist is definitely wrong here, and Bloomberg is obviously underestimating Donald Trump here. So Donald Trump will easily take the state of Georgia by a lean margin, and probably I would even say there's a good chance it will be a likely Republican state. But I'm definitely gonna be a lean at least. There's just no competition in Georgia whatsoever. It's gonna go to Donald Trump. Let's now go to North Carolina. North Carolina, Atlas has finally changed their mind on this state. I was pretty confused because Atlas, as good of a pollster as they are, they strangely had Harris win the state of North Carolina for basically this entire campaign. Like they always had Harris winning this state, but now they've just suddenly changed their mind. In their newest poll they have Trump winning the state by a full 4 percentage points. 4 percentage points in the state of North Carolina, which is like that definitely seems a lot better. I mean, it might be a little bit high, but it's definitely a whole lot better than it was before when they had Harris winning. It's like, there's no way Harris is going to win North Carolina and there's no way Trump is going to win Georgia and Arizona and then not win North Carolina. Like, so I don't know what was up with Atlas Intel giving this state to Kamala Harris for this whole time. Now they finally changed their mind, gotten their stuff together, and they now have Trump ahead by 4 percentage points. So, and we have just down pretty much down straight down the board. Once again, CNN is the only outlier they claim that Harris was ahead by 1 percentage point. This is just pure CNN code again. Look at their sample. 5 days, 750 people. How is that possible? How did Atlas get 1,310 people in one day? CNN, this massive news organization, could only get 750. So clearly this is wrong. Even Marist, which is extremely left-wing, has Trump win by 2 percentage points. Emerson, which is a left-wing but reliable pollster, has Trump win by 2 percentage points. So there's just no denying. North Carolina is almost as red as Georgia and Arizona is. So this state will definitely be also lean Republican. It might even be, again, could also be likely. Not less chance. It has a less chance of being likely than Georgia and Arizona, but it will definitely be at least a lean Republican state. Trying to hold some. She was there today. She was campaigning today in North Carolina. She was trying to hopefully get back some support in North Carolina, but there just doesn't look like anything's changing there. This state will be under Donald Trump with virtually no competition whatsoever. Now we get something interesting. Let's go to Virginia. Again, normally I would write Virginia off as being a Democratic state. Not this time. I think it might get competitive. Donald Trump could win this state. The reason for that, let's actually go to the polls now. So here you go. Here's the polls from Virginia, because then Harris has a pretty good lead, 5.8 percentage points in Virginia. That's pretty good. That's a pretty strong lead for Kamala Harris in this state. But first of all, this poll taken back in September, but that's Harris winning by 11 percentage points, is completely bullcrap. There is no way. Joe Biden won the state by 10 percentage points in 2020, which was a big deal because the state had been trained to defer to the right, so the fact that he won it by that much was a big deal. But at the same time, Democrats were in the best position they've ever been in. Democrats could not have been in a better position in 2020 than they could. That was really the best position they could have ever asked for, and they won that. And they won the election, but it was so close. But Virginia didn't win the state by that much. But there's no way Congress is going to win Virginia by anywhere near that margin. So that will simply be ridiculous. This 11 percentage poll is ridiculous. There's no way she's going to win the state by anywhere near what Joe Biden won, let alone win it by more than what he won it by. So this poll will be simply discarded and thrown out. Okay, I'll take it down to 5 percentage points for this one. That's just simply way too high. Now, so if you do that, this is what you're left with. You now have the Washington Post has it at 6% for Harris. This one has it as 2% for Harris, and the newest poll that we got has it as 2% for Harris. So this margin should definitely go down by a lot. So I predict that Kamala Harris will take the state of Virginia, but only by a lean margin. It's going to get very competitive. It could be tilt. It might even go to Donald Trump. It's going to get very close in this state, I guarantee you. It could be tilt, but I'm going to say it probably will be at least a lean state. But we'll see. Donald Trump might even flip the state. And by the way, Donald Trump was saying that today. Donald Trump today was in Virginia, and if you guys remember this right here, I told you guys how this right here will be what decides this election. And how Donald Trump was making a very, very smart move by inflating and actually using what Reagan said back in his campaign. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? You know what? Donald Trump actually said it at his campaign. He said at the very beginning of his campaign at his rally today in Virginia. Actually, in fact, I'll show it right now.
And I'd like to begin with...
Here it is right here. This is today in Virginia.
A very simple question for you to answer, if you don't mind. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
So that right there, that was the former president just today in Virginia saying what I literally said he was using. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Just like I said he was. That's exactly what he is using. And Donald Trump himself, he said today in Virginia that he thinks he can win Virginia. The former president said that today. Right here, this is Donald Trump saying that he thinks he can win Virginia.
I'll tell you what.
Right here.
We win Virginia, we win the whole thing without question.
So Donald Trump clearly has shown today, just like I said, exactly as I said in my last video, Donald Trump believes that he can win Virginia, and he also said he was just like I mentioned, talking about this Atlas Intel poll, that Reagan thing. In fact, I'll show you the Reagan thing just real quick.
Next Tuesday, all of you will go to the polls. Will stand there in the polling place and make a decision. I think when you make that decision, it might be well if you would ask yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Donald Trump has clearly showed that he thinks he can win this election, and he thinks he can win the state of Virginia. If he does win Virginia, it is already over at this point. You see, that alone will put him over 270 right there, without needing any of the blue wall states. If he takes Virginia, the election will be over. Nevertheless, for now, I will be leaving it for Kamala Harris, but it's going to get competitive, and he could win we have no idea how much that rally might have changed people's opinion. For example, we just don't know. That rally, it was a big rally, that's for sure. That was definitely a good rally for Donald Trump, and that was definitely a very powerful way for him to start his rally. That's for sure. And we can also see why, and it makes great sense why Donald Trump would be using Reagan's famous quote in his campaign. It makes sense. I mean, just look at how much Reagan won his election by. Look at this. This is 1984. Now he set the line in 1980, and even then, look at this. Look. 489 electoral votes Reagan won his election by. And in 1984, he won every single state except for Minnesota. He lost to Mondale by 0.18% in Minnesota. He literally flipped the whole country red, even California, even New York. So there's no denying why Donald Trump would do this. Why Donald Trump would connect himself to Ronald Reagan like that, and he would use that famous quote in his favor, and especially would use it in a state like this, where he thinks that might have a big impact on a state that is getting closer, that people thought was a write-up, and now Virginia might be in play actually. So yeah, the state is getting close. Donald Trump has made a very smart move today at his rally in Virginia by saying that, and then saying he thinks he can win the state. And overall, the state, according to the polls, if we get rid of this botched poll and cut this Emerson poll not in half, but take it down at least a few percentage points to 5, what you're left with is Harris being ahead, but not by enough. Nowhere near what she wants to be ahead by in a state that she needs to win, no matter what. So if Donald Trump can take Virginia, the election is already over. He will not need any of the blue wall states whatsoever. But realistically, it will probably still go to Kamala Harris by at least a lean margin, so around 2 to 3 percentage points. But that's a far cry from what Joe Biden wanted in 2020. So that's a lot about Virginia. But we're now going to finally be moving on from Virginia. We're going to go down out to Minnesota. Right here in Minnesota, we can see here, we do have one poll here from a few days ago that has Harris up by 8% in the state. That might be a bit of an overestimation right there. And also, we have to do but the news poll we have right here has Harris up by only 3% in the state. And this poll is a very large sample, almost 2,000 people. That's a pretty good sample. That's a very good sample, actually. Has Harris, again, only up by 3 percentage points. So we can see here that even though the Harris might have a lead of possibly up to 8 percentage points, it could be as low as 3 percentage points, and it could even be lower than that. We don't know. The point is that this state is within Donald Trump's range, just like Virginia is. Her lead in the state is only 4.8 percentage points, and that is not good at all for Kamala Harris, because her running mate, Tim Walz, is from Minnesota. If she loses Minnesota when her running mate is literally from Minnesota, it's pretty much game over for her election entirely, because that's just something that should not happen. You literally pick somebody from a state so you can guarantee that you win that state. But if you do that and you still lose the state, it's over. So yes, Minnesota is definitely still going to be lean Democratic. But just like Virginia, if it could flip red, it's possible. I mean, just look at 2016. In 2016, it came within 1.5 percentage points going to Donald Trump, and this is a state that has not gone red since 1972. Not since 1972 has that state gone red. So that is bad news for Kamala Harris. If Donald Trump can flip this state red for the first time since 1972, it's all over at that point. But for right now, for the sake of being realistic, it will probably still go to her by at least a lean margin. Now let's go to New Hampshire. Over here in New Hampshire, it's a similar bad story for Kamala Harris. New Hampshire is a state that Joe Biden was able to carry by 7.4 percentage points in 2020. But look at this, in 2016, Donald Trump almost won New Hampshire. He almost took the state by 0.37%. So the chance is there that this state could flip to Donald Trump this time around. You can see the newest poll that we have has up by 5 percentage points, but this poll has only up by 1 percentage point, just 1%. If that poll is real, it could flip to Donald Trump. And this poll by Emerson, a left-wing poll, has only up by 3. So that's not good. This poll right here has up by 7. That's only a 600 people sample. That's not a very good sample. It's actually a very bad sample. Remember, I always say if it's below 500, if the sample is below 500, ignore it. It's just not good. They always say that there's a 3% margin of error overall, but by individual polls, the smaller the sample is, the bigger the margin of error is. So if you have a poll below 500, it's just not even worth looking at. But anyways, yeah. But I do have to give this sample credit, because even it says she's up by 5 percentage points. might say, oh, that's a little bit high compared to these two. But look at the sample. That's a massive sample, almost 3,000 people. That is probably the biggest sample I think I've ever seen. That may actually be the biggest sample I've ever seen. So I gotta give them credit on that one. So this state could very well still be pretty strongly towards Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump probably, again, just like Virginia and Minnesota, will probably not win the state, but it could get competitive. Again, it could be as low as 1 percentage point a lead for her, so that's well within Donald Trump's reach. Bear in mind, though, again, we do have a massive. This is probably the best sample I've ever seen. It does have her up by 5 percentage points. So I got to really give them credit on that. And that's a really good sample right there. That's the best sample I've ever seen. So yeah, as they say, it will still be a lean Democratic state, but it is within Donald Trump's reach at least. And now we go on to Wisconsin. Here in Wisconsin, things are getting a little bit interesting here. Again, we do have a New York Times poll that does claim Harris is ahead by 2 percentage points. That's now, yes, the New York Times is a very left leaning pollster, but they're at least somewhat trustworthy. They overestimate Democrats maybe a little bit, so you could say this is 1 percentage point. But I'm gonna go ahead and give this one the check mark because the New York Times, they're quite reliable for the most part. The sample's decently sized. That's a multiple days poll, so I can give them the credit on that one. Who I can't give credit to, Marist. Marist is a very left leaning pollster, and they're known for skewing the polls towards Kamala Harris or towards Democrats in general. So this, I'm not gonna pick up. They do have a good sample, so I'm not just gonna like throw them out. But I will be reducing this to 1 percentage point. And of course, we have to go on here to this CNN poll, which is just this is the only reason that Harris is leading the state at all. So just get rid of it. This is ridiculous. How did CNN? Hold on. How did CNN in 5 days only get a sample of 736 people? Well, as big as CNN is, that's the best they could do. So no, I don't believe that for a second. And 6% is just out of this world ridiculous. So this poll will be gone. If you do that, again, Donald Trump will still hold the lead in this state, and I believe that this state will still go Donald Trump, and it will go to him by at least actually a lean margin. Wisconsin is usually the most conservative out of all the blue wall states, and just look at this. Look at this margin that they messed up in 2020. If you go here to 2020, just look at this. Joe Biden was supposed to win the state by almost 7 percentage points. He won it by 0.7. That is a 1 out of 10th what he was supposed to win it by. That's a 10 times overestimation. That is ridiculous. So if their polls are doing this by anything remotely similar, and they're doing that again this year by anything even close to being what it was in 2020, and Donald will easily take a state of Wisconsin by a lean margin. In fact, if they're doing it by the same margin again, it will be a likely Republican state. Just think about that. He'll win the state by around 6.2 percentage points. If they do that, the state is actually likely. So that's actually kind of insane to think of it like that. But yeah, the state will be a lean Republican state because that poll for CNN is just complete bullcrap and will be thrown out. The Marist should be reduced. That's just too high. The New York Times, though, I give them the check mark. They're left wing, but they're pretty good. You can rely on them for the most part, and it does make sense. It does make sense. We do have this poll comes up by 3 percentage points, and because the state is close, it makes sense. Okay, we have 1% for Donald Trump here, 1% here, 1 for Trump, 1 for Harris. So it does make sense to have some polls on both sides saying, well, wait a minute, it's 1% for Harris, now it's 1% for Donald Trump. That makes sense. So 2% for Harris, 2% for Donald Trump somewhere down here, like that makes sense. That's understandable. What's not understandable is this bullcrap right here. Absolutely not. That's not true whatsoever, and it was proven to be not true in 2020. So the state will be still a lean Republican state. That is just not going to change. So let's now go to Michigan. Michigan is the state out of all the blue wall states, or I should say out of all the Battleground states, Michigan is the one that Harris has the best chance of winning. She does hold a 0.7% lead. However, this is a result of multiple skewed polls. The worst one by far is Susquehanna, with its 5% lead for Cummings. That is ridiculous. And their poll, look at the sample, 400 people. That's it. I don't think Susquehanna really leans one way or the other. Their samples are just too small. They can't get an accurate read. I think that's really what it is. I don't think Susquehanna really is all that bad in terms of who they think is going to win. I just think it comes down to they just have too small samples. That's what it comes down to. So I don't know if it's really their fault, but like you got to get more samples than that. 400 people is just not enough. So it's below 500. 500 is already really bad. If it's below 500, it's just not worth looking at. The poll. It's just not, you cannot rely on a 400 sample poll. You just can't. So get rid of that poll. Quinnipiac is also very left wing, and they're known for lean towards Democrats. But they have Harris up by 4 percentage points. That is just way too high. 4%, well, not way too high, but 4 percentage points is definitely too high for a state from Michigan, which is a state that has been somewhat trending towards the right, but it is still the most liberal of all the battleground states. And it does have a really good sample of 1,136 people, so that's a good sample. I gotta give them credit for that one. 4% is too high. Reduce that to like 2 or 2.5. That 4% is just too high. And of course, we also take in fact that Bloomberg's ridiculous polls down here. Bloomberg down here, they have Harris up by 3 percentage points. Bloomberg is just so Democratic and so biased, it's ridiculous. So we gotta get rid of them as well. We just cannot listen to them. And we do have Rasmussen reports. Now, see, this is important because Rasmussen does claim that Harris actually is leading the state as well, and they are a right wing. They do tend to lean towards Republican, so that's important. But Atlas, the best pollsters in the entire world, Atlas has Harris winning the state by 2 percentage points. The New York Times, which also leans towards the left, has it as a tie. So if they're saying it's a tie, and Atlas says it's a lead for Donald Trump, that's a big deal. Atlas, the best pollsters in the entire world, claim that Trump is ahead by 2 percentage points in this state. So I gotta give him credit for that one. I will be awarding the state of Michigan to Donald Trump by not a lean, but by a tilt margin. I think Michigan will come down to the wire, and it's really, I would not be surprised if Harris wins this state. I don't think she's going to win Wisconsin or any of these other states down here. Maybe Nevada, but not these ones down here. I think Donald Trump will win Wisconsin. If she wins Michigan, I will not be that surprised. It is the most liberal of all the background states, but I do think it is turning towards Donald Trump by just the slimmest of margins. It'll be just like 2016 when he won the state by a 0.2 margin, something like that. I think the state will go to Donald Trump by a similar margin this time around. We have at this point Donald Trump will already win the election. I've noticed that 293 to 226. We still have one more state to get through, then that's Pennsylvania, which is arguably the most important state in this entire election. So let's go to Pennsylvania now. All right, here in Pennsylvania, you can see here we have the newest polls we got were by Atlas Intel right here has Trump up by 2% in the state. The New York Times also claims that it is just a tie, and this is a good sample. That's a pretty good sample. Atlas has the best sample here, though. That's an amazing sample. Quinnipiac actually has the largest sample on here with 2,186 people. Again, they're left wing, and they have Trump up ahead by 2 percentage points in this state. We have Marist, which I don't really have that much of a trust in, but their sample is pretty good. That's probably the best sample they got, so I'll leave it alone for this one. Washington Post, I trust them. What I don't trust is this one. 469 people. You know what? Below 500, you just can't listen to it. If it's below 500, this poll could be 18% for Donald Trump, 18% for Kamala Harris. It's just simply too small of a sample to really get an accurate reading. Or samples are that's the whole thing. Polls are always going to be an estimation. You can't possibly poll every single person in the whole state. That's just not possible. But the smaller the sample is, the bigger the margin of error is. And when you get below 500, that margin of error is just way too high for you to consider the polls reliable. So yes, I will be, especially when we have all these polls. We have all these polls: 1,500, 2,000, 2,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 500. 500 is bad too, but it's at least it's at the border though. But then you have this poll, 400 people, just no. It's just, compared to everything else, it's just way too small, especially for this state. 400 people is not an accurate reading, so that's why that poll will be forgotten. And when you do that, you have all these other polls. Emerson left wing has Trump ahead by 1%. All these left wing polls have it as 1% has it as a tie. Quinnipiac is left wing, has Trump winning. Only Marist and the Washington Post claim that Harris is ahead here, but those are reasonable margins. I can see that as a possibility. So yeah, I do believe that. Rasmussen has a 2%, and Atlas with their massive sample, just shy of Quinnipiac's, they have Trump winning the state by 2 percentage points. And if you were to get rid of this bad, terrible sample poll, Trump's leading state actually will go up by a little bit. So yes. This state, and it's actually the only one he still holds a polling average lead in. So this state will easily probably go to Donald Trump by at least a lean margin. It will be competitive, no doubt, but I still think it'll go to Donald Trump by at least a lean margin. So we are almost 2 days away from election night. Basically just 2 days, at this point. And at this point, Donald Trump still maintains, at least I believe, based on everything that we have, in looking at the polls and going by poll by poll, because they do tend to overestimate Democrats. And that's another thing. Democrats are always overestimated right up here. This is where they're always overestimated. Nevada could be more competitive, because even though we got polls there that says it's like 6% for Donald Trump, Nevada is the one exception where the Republicans tend to be overestimated by a little bit. But if that margin is true, then the state will probably still go to Donald Trump. So overall, I think this is your most accurate election map. Just 2 days out of election night, it is looking really good for Donald Trump. He just got to keep it up, keep pushing in the blue wall states. Maybe even try to flip Virginia if he can. But again, 2 days out, Donald Trump does tend to get a boost towards the end, and that seems to be happening, at least by a somewhat. So Donald Trump is at this point, Donald Trump is on track to win this election with 312 electoral votes. He will win all the battleground states. And with that, this is your most likely election map. Here you go, right there. I'd like to thank you guys for coming out here and watching this video. Don't forget, 1,000 subscribers. We get 1,000 subscribers before election night. So by tomorrow night, not by November 5th, by tomorrow night. The day I said before election night. If we can get 1,000 subscribers before election night, I will guarantee you guys the best possible that I can, best possible review, analysis of the election based for whoever wins. See how it happened, how they did it, what happened, what states they won, everything like that. It'll be a complete breakdown of the election. I'll be up till 3 in the morning, getting all the information that I can to make you guys that video. If we get 1,000 subscribers by tomorrow night, before the midnight, going from November 4th to November 5th, I will guarantee you guys that video. So remember, if we can do it, it means a whole lot to me. Make sure you also press the like button and leave a comment, share with all your friends. With that, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.